So in this lesson we're going to look at tanks in World War One. So we're going to learn about this attempt to break the trench lines. The tank is an attempt to break through trenches. We understand why it failed, why the tank never quite worked out. Develop our historical thinking skills. Keywords are caterpillar track. That big thing here that goes around the tank is called a caterpillar track. Armour, engine, powerful, overheat. Engines overheat, they break down. Fail, speed, slow, vulnerable. If something is vulnerable, it's easy to hurt. Unreliable, breaks down easily. Crush, and no man's land. So, there you go. That is what an early World War tank looked like. The World War 1 tank looked like. Gigantic. Here's the track. You're laying down your own road and then picking it up and laying it down again. Armour plate. World War 1 tanks had guns at the side. Yeah. So, as you've noticed, I'm hoping, it says test here. So the first thing you've got to do for the test is to sketch these. Yeah. This is the tank from the side, from the front. You have to label these things. Front plate, the viewing hatch, these are called sponsons, guns at the side, caterpillar track, etc., etc. So you'll copy and label the sketches. You get up to 15 marks for that. And then we'll move on. What was the tank designed to do? The tank was designed to cross no man's land and not be destroyed. Yeah. So as we've discussed many times before, as soldiers run across no man's land, the problem is, of course, the enemy shoot them from their machine guns, and they get slaughtered. Yeah. So the plan is tank goes first. The tank rumbles across no man's land. The soldiers are behind it. The tank crushes the barbed wire, no problem. Anyone with a machine gun shooting at them, not a problem. Bullets bounce off. Yeah. The tank keeps on going, crushes the machine gun, crushes the German if he's still stupid enough to be there. Soldiers can cross no man's land without being slaughtered. That's what the tank is designed to do. So what were these first tanks like? Well, they weren't the perfect war machines you see today. They were very slow. 3 miles an hour top speed. Yeah, 3 miles an hour. They had quite thin armour. If they'd put thicker armour on, the engines, which weren't powerful enough, would have not been able to move them. So they were still quite vulnerable. One hit from a big gun and it would take them out. Even later in the war, Germans developed special armour-piercing bullets that went straight through them. So they're still quite vulnerable. Inside, it was incredibly noisy and hot and dangerous for the crew. But it worked. So why did the tanks in World War One fail? Yeah, this is the big one. We'll talk about this a lot in class. But put simply, they failed because they were not reliable and they were not used properly. Yeah, they were not reliable. So the first time tanks were used, British used a couple of hundred of them. Loads of them broke down before the battle. Most of them had broken down, the engines had stopped working by the end of the first day. So they're not reliable. They're not strong enough, they're not fast enough, they're not armoured enough, and they weren't used properly. What we should have done is had thousands together all at the same time. Instead we spread them out and blah blah blah. Yeah? So we didn't quite use it properly. But again, we'll go through this in a lot more detail in class. Remember, SPAG, spelling, punctuation and grammar. You will gain extra marks if your spelling is right, punctuation is correct, your grammar is correct, everything's well written. That's the new rule. all your exams. By the time you lot sit your exams, that'll be the rule.